This is week 51 of Cougs on Cougs. We are almost to a full year of them. Next week will be our full year. We had a kind of a rough week. Lost to number 19 St. Mary's. So, I mean, it's not a bad loss.
No, but it still hurts.
Yeah, we don't like losing at all.
But then that win over Pacific.
Yeah, pretty good. So we'll talk about what happened.
Emotional roller coaster of a season. Sound familiar to anybody?
Yeah, of course. But let's do our quote of the week first.
Yes, this one comes from Michael Jordan, and it says, "Obstacles don't have to stop you. If you run into a wall, don't turn around and give up. Figure out how to climb it, go through it, or work around it." And if I may, I would like to dedicate this quote of the week to a certain Elijah Bryant.
Good one. I like that.
He, going through the time period he played and then he stopped playing for a while because his knee was still bugging him, he would tweet out a lot of inspirational quotes and put that on his Snapchat and Instagram. So, whatever it takes to get you through that hard period, and, he's come out on top seemingly, so knock on wood.
Yeah, it's very, very good to have him back.
It sure is. So speaking of that, we're going to go right into coaching from the couch, but we're going to start with a very brief tweets from last night. This is our segment where, we kind of get some national attention and people on the internet are saying funny stuff about BYU. So what do we got?
There's always stuff to say about BYU basketball.
Yes.
This one I thought was really funny. This is from DM Freitas, I don't know. He says, "This St. Mary's versus BYU game looks like a community theater production of Hoosiers." That's so funny.
I saw someone else say there's only usually 2 games a year where a team is actually wider than us.
True.
St. Mary's can be counted on for that because they're all Australian. Jeez.
That's true. And I think I saw one, it might have been from Ken, I can't remember, that said too that we hate St. Mary's because they're a white team that's better at basketball than we are.
So very rare, 2 very rare things. And then our second tweet from last night came from Gordon Cozier, and he said the St. Mary's versus BYU game is full of preppy looking dudes. Can't disagree there.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
But it's still really quality basketball. I mean, I think anyone would have watched that game and been entertained. So.
Especially that Eric Mika-Jock Lando battle.
Matchup, that was
really fun to watch. I actually really liked that a lot.
Well, let's get into couch coaching, and I wanted to start with 2 really interesting statistics that I saw before Coach Tyler and I share what we think went wrong and what went right. So there's this first one, which is from Ken, #HireKen. He said, "As painful as it felt, this was the 5th most efficient we've seen BYU's offense this year. By far our least efficient defensive performance." So we could have guessed that about defense, but it kind of, I don't know, it's good to know that about offense, but it still hurts because if that's one of our best offensive performances and we're still losing by double digits, ooh.
That tells you how much the defense needs some work.
Yeah.
Or how bad it was at least in that game. Luckily, we have some time before we play them again in February.
Yes.
So hopefully we'll figure some things out. The other one was from Marcus Russell, and he says, "That was obviously not BYU's best performance, but only 3 turnovers. When's the last time that happened?"
I couldn't tell you when the last time that. What do we usually average? 9, 10?
Somewhere around there. I think the goal is to keep it under 12, I think. So that was really good.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for the whole game, there weren't that many turnovers. St. Mary's had 8. And we had 3. So.
Yeah, both teams handled the ball really well. It's just kind of interesting because it was a pretty clean basketball game if you look at it from that perspective. We just didn't play defense. And that will lose you a game for sure.
Yeah, and there were times we really struggled on offense too.
That's true.
I mean, it wasn't our most efficient offensive performance. No. There's still some work to be done, but...
Like we said, we had 2 games last week. The first one was on Thursday, and that was a 81-68 loss to St. Mary's. And then we did beat Pacific 91-62.
Yay! We beat Pacific
awesome.
At home.
Great performance by Elijah Bryant. Great performance by Eric. We had 5 players in double digits. So we're going to actually talk about the St. Mary's loss just because there's more to talk about there. The Pacific loss, I don't really have very many complaints. Play like that every night, and I'll be happy.
Yes. I like that against the good teams, and I'll be happy.
Yes. Let's next time against St. Mary's, maybe. Okay, Coach Tyler, let's start with you with what went wrong. And I know this is hilarious, word for word.
Yeah, so we were watching the game, and there were a couple times where I think I texted you. Mm-hmm. I was like, this is exactly what I talked about last week.
And it was. It's like Nick watched the show and did it on purpose.
Nick. It was like...
It was everyone.
Yeah, at some points it was just literally everybody was doing something. So if you remember last week, I talked about how the thing that drove me crazy is when we were finally getting into a rhythm on offense, getting it inside, getting the ball around, whatever, someone would just decide to take over and start just chucking up a 3 or in this case, there's a lot of driving to the basket and throwing up wild shots that didn't have a chance of going in. So that still needs some work. I don't know what it is either. It's just like we suddenly get out of sync and stop trusting each other, forget to pass the ball around. And that's probably a lot has to do with the way St. Mary's was guarding us. And also how well they were doing on offense. I mean, it's a little disheartening there to have them hit some big shots and then feel like you have to hurry and do something on offense. And we saw a lot of that. I did think some of the guys played as young as they are. So they didn't look composed or in control. It was just kind of playing wild catch up, and that didn't work very well.
For me, we relied too heavily on Eric, and I know that I've said this before, but Eric had a great game. It was his birthday. He had 28 points. He was really close to a career performance. I think he did get the double-double, which, matters not as much when you lose, but still cool for him. But to me, we started out the game really well. I mean, I didn't think we were going to start out the game that well. It was 11-9. There were lead changes. We were hanging with them. And then you take Eric out and stagnant. Just everything went wrong when Eric came out.
I mean, it's hard to take Eric off the floor because so much runs through him and the guys are so confident getting it into him.
Right.
So they need to get that, same confidence as some of the other guys. But again, that's going to take time.
Exactly. Especially with your injured Kyle Davis, because maybe Kyle Davis was your other guy that you would rely on inside. So
I think we forget about waiting for
Kyle. Corbin to get back to 100% and for Peyton to really emerge as the high level recruit that he was, so that we can just trust someone else inside.
Yeah, so and Yoli's good too, but again, he's a freshman.
Right.
So
takes a while to develop.
We need to give him some leeway.
Yeah.
Again, this is not a bad loss.
No. We're not saying that for sure.
But there's plenty that they can watch on the film and improve until we play them next time.
Yeah, and just to mention really quickly, we did only have 2 in double digits, and obviously that was one with Eric with the 28, and the next best was Elijah with 11, which is not great, Bob, as Steve Pierce would say.
True, but that was my what went right for this week. Was that we
had
right
into that.
11 points off the bench from Elijah Bryant, which we have missed. The other thing was that Nick had 5 steals in that game. Again, I keep talking about pretty much every week he looks more and more like Jackson. True. And you get 5 steals a game, you're going to get close to Jackson's record.
For me, my thing that went right is we really did shoot decently well. I mean, the numbers do kind of tell a different story, so it's kind of hard to say. But we shot 44% from the field on the night, which is that's a decent shooting outing. It's just crazy because St. Mary's shot better. I think at one point in the first half they were shooting 64%, and it's so hard to beat a team that's just shooting like that.
Yeah, and we had 35% from 3, which it's better than it has been. We'd like it up in the 40 range,
usually.
But no, 5 of 14, so it doesn't look great, but better than some of the other nights where we've shot 20-something%.
Right, and the thing is, it would work against most teams, but St. Mary's isn't most teams, which brings us back to what we've been saying. This isn't a bad loss. I think it was really disheartening when you know what potential this team has, but we're not there yet, and I think both of us are pretty confident that when we get St. Mary's at home, we'll be ready. We decided that we would try our hand at some power rankings and not let Jake and Steve have all the fun. Jake Welch does them for football. Steve Pierce does them for basketball.
Where is that, Steve?
Come on, Steve. Yeah, well, we're going to bring it to you, but only for hair. Sorry, very, very limited scope here. But we got the idea from one Corbin Kafusi a few weeks ago, and bad hair and BYU basketball seem to kind of be something that just go hand in hand.
Why? I bet football players have bad haircuts too, but you never know.
Yeah, there's just more of them. Some of them really do have bad hair, though.
They have helmets on, so.
Sorry, but guess what? Basketball's a face sport, so this is what happens.
That's right.
So we're going to start with our bad hair, and then we will give some love to those who have good hair. So these are our bad hair, BYU basketball bad hair power rankings. Who are we starting with,
We're going
Jess?
to count down with number 5 being Matt Carlino's shaved head. Do you remember that?
He had the best hair, cute black curly hair.
Have the best hair.
And then randomly one day he shaved his head. Dude, Matt, on his list of problems, he went through a Britney phase, 2007 Britney, and shaved his head, and then he transferred. So
yeah, I don't know if it had the effect he wanted. But not forgiving you for that, Matt.
Yeah. So number 4 on our list, we're kind of surprised this isn't higher up, but Nick's Vegas hair.
What happens in Vegas does not stay in Vegas.
It was on national television. Actually, that one was on YouTube, but still no excuse. And what did he explain that with? He said that he just walked down to the hotel barber and was like, cut my hair. maybe let that be a lesson to all of you. Don't do that.
Especially in Vegas at some random hotel. Don't do that. Number 3, Peyton Dastrup's Rugrats hair.
If someone's comparing you to a Rugrat, not a good look. Can we say that?
Buddy. It looks a lot better now.
Yes, we will say it has grown in a lot, and now I think it's doing what he wanted it to do in the first place. Yeah. So I don't know if that was a miscommunication with the barber or what.
Sometimes good haircuts take some time to grow into them. This one just took a little longer than we all would have liked.
Number 2 on our list, getting down to it, is Corbin Kaufusi's Space Hawk helmet Mohawk
thing. With the buzz on the sides really high.
Okay, it was like an arrow. I said it reminded me of Avatar. Put up that tweet. Yeah, channeling Avatar there. And I did see this week he had let it grow in a little bit. But that was an unwelcome surprise. Nice to have you back on the basketball court. Not nice to see your hair.
Most of these have some recency bias.
Yes.
But we're going to throw it all the way back to Kyle Collinsworth freshman year with his mullet and little rat tail
We hate to bring it up.
That was a bad time for him. Why? I don't know. He still played decent.
If anyone is an insider or has hashtag sources and know what caused Kyle Collinsworth's mighty change of heart, where he suddenly went from worst hair on the planet to best hair on the planet, let us know.
Talk about a transformation.
So now we'll move on to good hair, which we love to talk about. So who's our number 5 on this list?
On this list, we're going with Eric Mika's wash and go style. We love it.
It just totally works for him.
It really does. And it does look effortless.
What would life be like if you didn't have to do your hair? I would not know.
Maybe.
Number 4. This is one of my favorites on the team. Stephen Baez, Troy Bolton / Justin Bieber hair. Can't go wrong. Anyone who can achieve that little hair flip and resembles Troy Bolton or Justin Bieber is winning in our book.
That is true.
He cut it. Grow it back out, Stephen. I don't know if it's getting in his eyes, throwing off his groove, but
maybe a little bit.
Look good, play good, good hair. We need a motto.
Look good, play good.
Yeah.
Number 3, Chase Fisher's long curly golden locks
over the summer last year. Married people who admire Chase Fisher is still going strong. Don't get it twisted.
Yes, we have been lacking in our Chase Fisher pictures since he's moved to Italy.
I wonder if he's growing his hair out again.
Oh my gosh.
We will find out, we promise.
We'll do some sleuthing.
Number 2 is our very own The Weeknd, who I actually have decided looks more like Bruno Mars than The Weeknd, and his hair is better than both of them. We're calling this the unattainable Mohawk because it seems to be what everyone else on the team is trying to go for and not achieving. Corbin, you're not pulling it off. Nick, you're not pulling it off. Yoli is a little closer to pulling it off, but Elijah,
Yoli's got decent hair.
Elijah's hair looked so good against Pacific. And guess what? Look good, play good. It works.
It's true. Yeah, he's got some nice hair. We've said that from the beginning. And you know what? I miss seeing him on the sidelines in his suits.
I know.
I mean, I'm glad he's playing, but yes, maybe we'll get to that and talk the town. Number 1 spot, is this any surprise to anyone? No, because it's Kyle Collinsworth.
How rare is it to have the same number 1 in bad power rankings and good power rankings?
I don't know. Probably doesn't happen, but somehow, Kyle Collinsworth, you did it.
Yep, there you go.
Whatever
so there are our hair power rankings. Feel free to chime in with yours, and this is something we'll have to do regularly as everyone is changing their hair every week.
Yes, if you remember any bad haircuts from the past too, particularly in the Dave Rose era, please let us know.
Let us know.
We were trying to rack our brains, but it's been too long. So, talk of the town this week, we have some football things. So let's get to those. First is that Thomas Schoaf was named a freshman All-American by the Football Writers Association of America.
Huge for him, especially since he wasn't even supposed to be his starter.
Yeah, he played in 9 of the 12 games, I think. Mm-hmm. So, he didn't play in all of them, but when he did play, he made a big impact, and we were lucky to have him.
Yeah.
So, congrats to Thomas.
This next one is kind of scary. Really scary, actually. One of my biggest fears, probably a lot of people's biggest fears, Tower of Terror, anyone? Austin McChesney said that he had been stuck in the elevator at the SAB for 20 minutes and counting, and yes, he was scared, and yes, the doors won't open. So he did follow up with that tweet saying that he crashed into the basement. Let's hope that was he crashed from the first floor and not from up on the 3rd floor, but some workers pried the doors open and he got out. So I don't know if he was the only one in the elevator. I don't know. I would love to know more details on that story.
It does say we were saved by some wonderful workers who pried the door open after they crashed to the basement.
And Jess brought up that he just had surgery a few weeks ago, so on crutches, stuck in an elevator, just no to all of it.
His hashtag, though.
Hashtag I peed a little. Hey.
Do you blame him?
No. I almost did reading it, so...
That would be scary. Aliva Hifo had surgery again, and I think he also said it was for labrum. Mm-hmm. So he will be recovering, and we will need him back as a receiver next year.
That labrum tear is one of those injuries that I feel like half the team gets during the season and then just has to have surgery after. So here's hoping for a speedy and full recovery, and hopefully Matt is recovering well as well. Yep. This is great. So we've gotten a lot of snow over the past few weeks. It's been snowing, like it snowed like every day last week. It was crazy.
I've never seen this much snow ever.
Me neither, and we've both lived in Utah for quite a while. So Ty has not lived here so long. Does not snow so much in Texas. And he said, great neighbors here in Mapleton, Utah, helping us amateurs from Texas. Hashtag grateful. So good on that young man for helping Ty Detmer. We all would if we could, right?
That's right. We'd all be over there shoveling if we had to. This is from Derek Stevenson. This was at Lavelle Edwards Memorial. That was this last Friday. A lot of former players, coaches, fans
Huge
went to
showing.
this. So I just like this picture a lot. It's from Derek Stevenson. They may stray, but they always come home. So this is Kalani Satake with Kyle Whittingham and Norm Chow. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yep, don't see those together very often anymore. But yeah, everyone was at Lavelle's funeral. Andy Reid came, Jim McMahon came, just countless names and faces. So, Lavelle would have loved to see that reunion. The national championship game was on Monday, Alabama and Clemson. And Kalani, I think this was a last-second thing, ended up in the coach's film room, which is a special production they do. It's just another way you can watch the game. It was on ESPN News this time. I think it was 6 coaches total, and you watch them watching the game. And so really cool for Kalani to be a part of that. And someone pointed out to me, I think it was D. Young pointed out to me that there was only one non-Power 5 coach in that room, and it was Kalani.
Kalani. Way to represent, coach.
This was also a funny thing that came from that.
Yeah. This is from Patrick Flynn. He says, who knew BYU's coach was a real-life Uncle Tito?
So good publicity, but also, no publicity is bad publicity, right?
Why not?
Is that guy from Rocket Power?
Probably. Wow, I haven't thought about that show in a long time.
I know. He kind of, I can see it. All right. We did hear Kalani was the first one up when they brought out snacks. So.
Way to be, coach.
Kalani is all of us, as The Rock said.
Oh, love that. Okay, so now we're going to switch gears and go back to basketball again.
You can explain the situation a little bit. What happened?
All right, I'll explain. So on Nick Emery's Instagram story, this was before the St. Mary's game, they were doing a shoot around at St. Mary's gym, and he did a little video just, showing around the gym, and the caption was literally a high school gym.
Which me and Jess did text about because it was a little savage.
Yeah, like, ooh. Obviously he was feeling kind of confident. And he's won in a lot of high school gyms.
Sure.
Not this one, though.
We don't mind the confidence, but, I don't know. It got blown, should we say blown out of proportion?
Just got kind of blown. I don't know if it was out of proportion, but it got a little big, got some attention.
Attention from even St. Mary's, who after the game...
This is St. Mary's. We love our little gym. Number 19 St. Mary's improves to 13-1 in front of 3,500 strong.
Huh. Oops.
So... They love their little gym where they win a lot of games.
I'd love it too.
Gotta respect the little gyms if they're gonna beat you.
And then another another effect that we saw from this, someone brought a sign to the game that said, go back to middle school if you can't play in a high school gym. Nick Emery, 0 wins. Has he not won in Moraga?
I didn't last year. So, yeah, guess not.
Has he learned his lesson? I guess that remains to be seen. We'll see how it goes when he heads there next year. But Nick, in our humble opinion, maybe just...
Tone it down a notch. I wanted to throw this in here too, because as I mentioned earlier, I've been missing Elijah Bryant in suits, and then we got this picture. Absolutely. This is from Elijah Bryant. Said, LJ came to church, so we had to get the camera out. This is Elijah, LJ, and Colby.
Elijah looks so good in that picture.
I missed that suit.
I don't know what LJ is wearing, and Colby's suit looks like a mission suit, but Elijah is killing it.
To be fair, it probably is a mission suit.
It probably is a mission suit.
He still has his mission call.
But we can just focus on Elijah. That is straight fire. Jay Wright would be proud.
Speaking of the hair, too. Oh, he would be proud. Dude, I bet Jay Wright would look good in that suit. Okay. Other things.
Fashion. Speaking of fashion,
Yes. So
we
speaking of that Instagram
had to
video.
talk about TJ's boots, which made an appearance in Nick's Instagram video and a lot of the players' Snapchat when they're out there. I know I noticed them. One of the first things I noticed from Davin's videos and Eli's videos. What are those boots?
There has to be some kind of explanation or story here.
I bet there's not. I asked Jess if I legitimately want to know if they're his wives. Are they his wives?
I'm sure they're not.
I'm wearing some snow boots right now, and they look like the ones I'm wearing. Which, should it make me feel bad? Should it make him feel bad? Like, I don't know.
But, like, that's so not a basketball thing to do. I mean, most guys, if they're going to be comfortable or whatever, they're going to wear slides or something.
I guess that's what you respect about TJ, is that he doesn't look threatening or in any way, shape, or form. He is not your typical basketball player, and yet he will kill you sometimes. Maybe it's just for appearances. Maybe he just wants to keep making you think that he's not a basketball player.
Maybe it is psychological.
Ooh. He's like, hey, St. Mary's, don't take me seriously. I'm wearing these weird Ugg boots.
If you have an explanation for us, please let us know. We would appreciate it.
Pat, ask TJ for us. Please. We gotta know.
Speaking of shoes.
Better shoes.
Jimmer Fredette now has a shoe deal with 361 Degrees, a Chinese company.
So he is finally living the dream. Not in America,
It's Jimmer
but
Mania
in
all
China.
over again. I'm so happy about that.
This
it makes
is what
me so
he
happy.
deserved in the NBA, but it's good that he's getting it somewhere. Shoe deals and all-star games.
Do you know how great it is to just think that on the other side of the world, there's all these people that are getting to experience Jimmer Mania?
It does warm your heart a little.
Right?
A lot.
I love it.
So also sticking with the Jimmer theme here, Whitney Fredette tweeted out that apparently as a part of the Jimmer Mania in China, he's gotten the nickname Lonely God and Loneliness Master. I mean, the translation is breaking up somewhere here, but it's kind of funny.
I think it's probably because he's like on his own level.
Yeah, he is. In China, probably. But she says it's amazing, and we agree.
Yeah, he broke Yao Ming's scoring record of 30 or more points scored in consecutive games. And I think he's on track to maybe beat a few more. So, good job, Jimmer.
Speaking of scoring 30 or more points in a game.
Yes, All-Star game. So, Jimmer was selected to be an All-Star game. I think we mentioned that last week.
We
so,
did.
they had the game, and he had 32 points in that game. Which, you know...
Yeah, it's less than his 39-point average, but still,
and it's not like there's a lot of defense. But he did have a dunk in that game, too. Did you see it?
Yeah.
One-handed throwdown.
Yes, and he did clarify the rims are not 9 feet.
That's true.
Also, he won the 3-point contest.
Yes, he did. Not a surprise there.
Obviously.
But, yeah. So, he's killing it over there. And if you missed that little interview that the Chinese television station did over there, it was really good. It reminded me of the good old days.
That is all we have for this week. As for what's coming up next, got a couple basketball games. Thursday, January 12th, this one is at home against San Francisco, who is nothing to scoff at, by the way. They were beating St. Mary's at halftime, which is more than we can say, held them to 26 points in the half.
Yeah.
And then they did end up losing by double digits, but they hung with them, and we need to, this isn't one to look over. Let's just say that.
Definitely not.
So that's 7 p.m. on BYU TV. As always, home game, wear white.
And then Saturday at San Diego, that one is 6 p.m. Mountain, and it's on Spectrum or the Root Sports Network. Yay.
Please bless that they don't cut off the game 30 seconds early again.
I don't know what I'll do, but
apparently
you will hear about
didn't happen everywhere, but it certainly happened for us here in Utah, and we were, let's just say, not happy about it.
There was much screaming. Bless you, Robbie, for periscoping the
Yeah, oh my gosh, that's what we watched.
Saved us. Sponsors this week, we are brought to you by Cookies, which is Eric Mika's New Year's resolution to eat more of.
And our second sponsor, multiple people, TJ Haas, Elijah Bennett, and Corbin Kaufusi. We're just wondering, do all teams have as many players with alter egos as we do?
We have a lot.
Taylor Magnum, anyone?
TJ Haas.
Here's hoping we see TJ Haas this week.
Yes, please.
May you always stay loyal to the white and blue. For Jess, I'm Mary. We'll see you next week.